stands now?
No, I actually don't believe so.
Okay.
And describe a little why, but before I do, one of the biggest criticisms that PollMole is going to have is that it does dump this kind of real-time information in an unvarnished way, and couldn't that steer elections and either cause people not to turn out or whatever? But here's my hope, and maybe this is naive. My hope is that we stop voting for the winner. We start voting our conscience. Mm-hmm. That people look for other people to come along that represent their true hopes and aspirations, ideas, beliefs, and that we start voting for minor candidates, and we stop worrying about trying to vote for the winner with this, piling on mentality. That's just silly. I mean, America's great because we're diverse, and we have so many different opinions and so many different places where people have come from legally, the immigration. I don't want to get off on the illegal immigration tangent, but the diversity that we have and the complexity that we have as a society, that's the richness. That's the beauty. And that's why I just can't stand the federal government overstepping the 17 things it was allowed to do in the Constitution. And now it's trying to control everything. And when it does that, it homogenizes us. It makes us all the same. Every state's the same. Everything's the same. And we lose that color, that richness, the diversity of who we are as a people. And the tolerance that we can practice goes away. When the push is to make everyone the same, then everyone is trying to be the same. If the push were, hey, everyone needs to be different and we need to celebrate those differences, then that's a whole, different kettle of fish. And that's the country that I put my life on the line for. Those are the values that I believed in when I raised my hand and took the oath to defend the country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That's the country that I believe in, America. I don't see much of that country today, but I don't think it's dead. I think it's asleep. I think it can be awakened. And I think tools like PollMole and other things that other bright people will come up with are going to be the things to help resurrect that spirit.
That's very well said. I mean, this country could use a good shot of ethics. And by no means do I mean any patronage whatsoever when I say this sounds to me like an application that has been developed and its foundation is in fact ethics. Do they even teach ethics in school anymore? I wonder. Certainly not.
I don't think so. I've got a couple of kids in college now, and they're not taking any ethics. I did, but and you're right. PollMole is built on an ethical system of one man, one vote, where diversity is important, where everyone's voice should count, and we should be inspiring people to talk about their differences. And whether the Caitlyn Jenner thing is a big issue for you, whatever, that the courage that someone like that, whether you respect it or not, you have to respect the courage behind the person to be able to be willing to step out in the public light and say, I've lived my life as a lie. I need to change that, and I'm going to do that irrespective of what you think or feel. And that kind of courage, I think, is what is nascent in all of us. But we're under so much pressure now to obey, to conform, to align ourselves, all the political correctness and all those social pressures. It's destroying us as a people. It's not just limiting our choices and not just limiting our markets and our thinking, but it's taking the character of America away. And that's the thing that I guess I'm most upset about is I don't see the character of the America that I grew up in. And I wasn't naive. It was different. That was, the 50s and 60s were just a different time than today. People cared. I mean, you didn't have to lock your doors. You knew your neighbors. I mean, it was just a different place to live. And we've become more violent and more destructive and more divided than ever. And that needs to change. And I think that there are a number of presidential candidates that have made this their platform. Some, I think, believe it. Some, I think it's just, lip service. But we do need to get together. We do need to come together, and it's diversity that will do that, not homogeneity.
You know, you're exactly right. It's almost as though the term equality has been hijacked. Now, instead of equal protection under the law, which we will follow, now it's everybody being just like everybody else. And I've said this many times, I must say it again. Making everybody else just like everybody else is exactly the same thing as making everybody nobody. And you just said it, but you used higher English. You really did.
Well, so, everybody, if you want everyone to be the same, and everyone has to sink down to the lowest common denominator, it's very difficult to bring people up. It takes education and time and money and encouragement and family and all kinds of other issues to do that. And some of the remarkable people that come out of our inner cities have had that force of their will to rise above all of those forces that are against them. And you just, every time you read one of those humanitarian stories and you see somebody that crawled out of that pit, you just have to take your hat off and just salute those people. I mean, they truly are heroes. I mean, they're amazing to have the fortitude and the vision and the dedication, perseverance, persistence. I mean, all those, all the qualities that I think a good CEO has to have. That's what those people have. And they should be not some basketball player who can shoot three-pointers, but those are the people that should be leaders, and those are the people that kids should aspire to be like. They should be the heroes that they're unsung. They don't sell soap, and so again, I look for a fundamental transformation of our society. I think PollMole can help to do that. It can clean up a lot of the corruption. It can detect with a very, very high degree of accuracy any iterations and perturbations that occur in the polling process, in the election process. But I want to answer your question. You talked about, are the polls rigged?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the significant kinds of polling that's done. And you have to go back to 1964 and understand that a single company that has undergone a series of name changes is the principal provider of exit polling data in the United States for all of the major media. And the reason is it's owned by the 6 predominant media organizations.